Thematically, Black Widow's in a lot of trouble here. I mean, I think canonically she'd be able to take 1, 2, probably even like 6 of these widows, but you've got like 18 or so, just right here. It's an axe kick, an ankle kick, tornado the kick, and then rolls in and does a spinning back fist. And then the two of them just switch right here. Hey friends! John here, and welcome back to The Martial Actor, where I, your favorite black belt, react to all your favorite fight scenes from TV shows and movies. Today, I'll be reacting to Natasha Romanoff and Yelena Belova in Black Widow. If you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and let's dive right in. This was an explosive way to start the fight sequence between Black Widow and Taskmaster. I think it's interesting to point out that Black Widow subverted a couple of expectations when it comes to action films in general. Action films generally start off with really high-level action sequences. This movie did the opposite of that. Instead, it started with this really grounded, character-driven snapshot into Black Widow's history with her family. It even subverted that expectation a second time when Black Widow was supposedly going to be captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. However, I thought both of those sequences were done really well, and I thought it was very interesting to see this slow build here as well.
I'm pretty sure Ross has no jurisdiction here. You should know I'm a better shot when I'm pissed off.
Now, obviously, the first thing that we think of when we see Taskmaster's shield is how reminiscent it is to Captain America's shield. We learn more about why Taskmaster has that shield later, but it begs a really interesting question right from the top of the film. I like how they're playing with speed ramps here. This section is slowed down, this section is normal speed, and that's fast. That was a really great capoeira style flip kick. Now we get Black Widow's signature acrobatic takedown, which is called the head scissor takedown, but we've never seen anyone be able to counter it into another head scissor takedown. And I love how we get to see different variants of the head scissor takedown every single time Black Widow shows up in a Marvel movie. I really hope they continue to do it with Florence Pugh's character. This is some really great knife choreo. That was a really tricky move right there. And I love seeing the head control with the hair. That's something that anyone with long hair has to deal with in combat, so it's great to see incorporated in movies like this. I loved this part. I wondered why she didn't just do that right from the top, but for the purposes of the film, like, it makes sense. This is some great sword choreo we're getting here. And then that was a really strong way to end the fight. I did feel like it was a little bit abrupt. I wanted to see more. The sequences of action weren't actually that long in this fight, but honestly, it was just a taste of what's coming.
I know you know I'm out here.
The fight scene between Yelena and Natasha was my favorite fight scene in the whole Black Widow movie because it did such a great job of illustrating their relationship in the fight. From the very top of the scene, the dialogue reflects how neither character really has an advantage over the other. They're both coming from an equal place of power. That's reflected again right here. Both of them are using the exact same technique. They're even walking at the same speed. They could be exact mirrors of each other, which illustrates how close they were as siblings and how much their bond affected each other, even though they haven't seen each other in 20-some years. It's reinforced again with that technique. And then we dive into the fight and it just gets really down and dirty very quickly. I love how brutal Yelena is. It really reminds me of Black Widow.
Stay down! Stay down! Stay down!
And how viciously she yells right there. It's just so great. Love seeing the towel stuff. That was a sick takedown. Doing like the roll into hitting the door frames. Props to that stunt person because that looked awesome. And now we're incorporating found props, which I love to see. And Florence Pugh is looking great. The first movie that I saw her in was Midsummer, but she did do Fighting with My Family, so she has a background in action films. But I was really surprised with how well she performed here. I thought she did an amazing job. This whole fight gave me really Atomic Blonde vibes with the viciousness and also the pacing. And then right here reminded me of Jason Bourne. It's apparent to me that both of those films influenced this scene, which is great.
Come on, we're just going to press buttons and hack computers. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing for me to do, and I want to break something.
Oh, there is something you can break.
I didn't anticipate Red Guardian fighting Taskmaster in the movie, but once we got to this point, I thought it made a lot of sense. Obviously, David Harbour has experience doing some fighting with Stranger Things, but that's not really an action-heavy franchise, so I was very interested to see how he would perform in the movie. The pacing for this fight was a little off, but if you watch closely, you can see elements from Black Widow, Black Panther, the Winter Soldier, and Captain America that the Taskmaster is using in this fight, which is so cool to see. Crashing through glass is always really dynamic, so I love seeing it. And it ended up that David Harbour's character didn't have that much fight choreo itself. More of it was about selling the partner that he's fighting with, selling the strikes that he's being delivered, which is also an important aspect of fight choreos. And then love seeing the head scissor there from Rachel Weisz too. I thought thematically that it fit quite well.
So talkative now, are you? My childhood. You took my choices and tried to break me. But you're never gonna do that to anybody ever again.
Nobody leaves this room until she's dead.
This was an impressive scene. First off, group fights are always really hard to choreograph, and I thought they did it really well here, especially with the pacing of the speed ramps. You can see that they're coming in groups of 1, 2, and 3, which is how a big group fight would work in real life. You wouldn't be able to necessarily have 12 people fight one person simultaneously. It just logistically would not work. I really love the lighting that they're using here. This really strong yellows with the red room light looks great. And then also, I just have to say, I have never seen a group fight comprised of only women. I really loved seeing it. I think it elevates the standard that Hollywood needs to start holding themselves to. And it shows that women can throw down just as hard as men and pull off action sequences that are just as compelling, which is true and awesome. That was also a crazy stunt. I've never seen someone get thrown and then have the throw assisted by another person in midair. It just looked so great. Thematically, Black Widow's in a lot of trouble here. I mean, I think canonically she'd be able to take 1, 2, probably even like 6 of these widows, but you've got like 18 or so, right? Just right here. She's in a really tough spot. And then Yelena is the one to save her, which I think thematically is very strong. The final fight sequence in this movie was interesting because in most action films, the final sequence is the confrontation between the protagonist and the big baddie. In the beginning of Black Widow, the big baddie was framed to be Taskmaster, but then that was quickly subverted and we learned that Dreykov was the one pulling the strings. At this point in the movie, Dreykov has already been eliminated, but Taskmaster is still an unresolved variable. What makes it more interesting is that the Taskmaster represents a lot of emotional turmoil for Black Widow because her past actions led to the creation of the Taskmaster character. Taskmaster also represents all of the guilt and shame that Black Widow feels as a result of Antonia basically like losing her life to become the Taskmaster. Because of all of that, we don't really get a huge physical confrontation between the two. It turns out to be much more of an emotionally based scene, which in the grand scheme of things, I think is the right choice. Action movies and just movies in general are best when they are grounded in a real, emotional, character-driven space. So even though I was expecting the final fight to be longer and flashier than it actually was, I think they ended up making the right choice. We get these speed ramps with the sword, which look really beautiful. The double kick into the back flip looks great. And then this is what I'm talking about. Instead of continuing the fight, Black Widow tries to emotionally reconcile with Taskmaster. Goes into the chokehold, and then Black Widow gets this really great like piggyback move. We get another type of takedown right there. Good kip up, and then that's basically the end of the fight. If you like what you saw, hit that like and subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and that's all I've got for you today. So take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you next time. That was my favorite bit in the whole movie. It was hilarious. And that looks sick. I've never seen that move before, and I thought that it was awesome.